Good morning and welcome to The Business Show, your go-to source for money and finance news in 10 minutes or less every day. I'm Andrew Giancola, and today we are covering the fact that Goldman Sachs is warning that Trump's new tariffs could send inflation higher, and we'll dive into that story. And if you're selling your house this spring, Zillow says using specific words like remodeled could add over $13,000 to your sale price. And Uber and DoorDash are fighting to make sure their drivers don't get left behind in the tax-free tips bill, and why this could impact millions of gig workers. And March Madness has no underdogs this year, but ratings are still booming, and why fans can't look away even without a Cinderella story. And Elon Musk just sold X to XAI for $33 billion, and what this means for social media, AI, and your feed. We've got all that and more. Let's get down to business. All right, the first story is that Goldman Sachs is sounding the alarm on the economic fallout from President Trump's sweeping new tariffs, predicting higher inflation, slower growth, and the risk of recession. Now, this is something that I want to bring up at the top of the show because you're going to see a lot of headlines come up just like this. And these headlines are typically meant to scare people into thinking, I need to make a move. There's something I need to be doing to change my portfolio, or there's a shift that I need to be making. And typically, when they sound these alarms, these big companies like Goldman Sachs are just trying to get in the headlines. And so they're usually just trying to get their name out there. But secondarily, they're also trying to get the market to move in certain directions. So a lot of times, this is just noise for your portfolio, but we're going to talk through this for a second. So Goldman now projects the Fed will cut interest rates 3 times in 2025, up from 2. Now, in the short run, that's going to make an impact on your portfolio. And the bank raised its U.S. recession odds from 20% to 35%. And core inflation is forecasted to end in 2025 at 3.5%, above the Fed's 2% target. And GDP growth is expected to drop to 1%, while unemployment rises to 4.5%. Now, a lot of times when they make these predictions, just like any prediction out there, a lot of times they are wrong because nobody has a crystal ball and nobody knows what is going to happen. Now, why would this matter? If higher inflation did happen, it would slow growth and force the Fed to walk a tightrope with rate cuts. And a more pessimistic Goldman forecast may rattle markets already uneasy about policy uncertainty. So Goldman Sachs put this out, and then it shifts the market slightly because Goldman is a voice that a lot of investors do watch. So this is something that we will continue to watch, but I want to explain that when these reports come out, we will talk through this every single time so that you don't overreact to some of these reports. So if you're selling your home this spring, now is the time to think about upgrades according to Zillow. And it's not just staging. New Zillow data reveals that certain words in your home listing can actually lead to big bucks at closing. So interestingly enough, remodeled is one of the words that they say can help you sell a home for nearly 4% more on average. And the average is $13,194 above expectation. Now, listings with soapstone, wet room, white oak floors, teak, Venetian plaster, or outdoor shower each added a 2.8% to 3.5% premium on listings. And there are some renovations to include in these features that can range from $2,000 for an outdoor shower to $50,000 for a wet room. Now, why does this matter if you are looking to sell your home? Because you need to understand buyer's psychology, and you need to make sure your agent, if you're using one, understands this as well. Buyers want move-in ready homes and are willing to pay extra to avoid some of those renovation pushes. And even with affordability at record lows, the demand for turnkey properties remains strong. Now, strategic upgrades can pay off, but costs vary widely and are rising due to some of the new imports on materials. So if you want to find a house at a cheaper price, opt for houses that do not have these renovations. But if you're just looking for a move-in ready house, this may be something where you're going to have to pay a premium. And if you are someone who is selling your house, make sure you understand the buyer psychology side when you put up your listing. It is very important to utilize the right words. And as you can see, this is thousands and thousands of dollars that can make a big, big difference. Hey, real quick, if you are enjoying the show, can you follow the show and leave a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast app? It truly would mean the world to us. Thanks so much. And now back to the show. Uber and DoorDash are lobbying Congress to include their drivers in President Trump's proposed tax breaks on tips, because as it stands, most of them will not qualifies. So Republicans are drafting a bill to eliminate taxes on tips, fulfilling a campaign promise from President Trump, and most Uber and DoorDash drivers are classified as independent contractors who receive 1099s, not W-2s, making them ineligible under the current bill. Now, according to GridWise, food delivery drivers earn 53.4% of their income from tips, and ride-hailing drivers get around 10% from gratuities. And restaurant workers earn 23% of their income from tips, and casino dealers about 60%. Now, excluding app-based workers from the bill could leave millions of low to middle-income earners without the tax breaks that they rely on. And Uber and DoorDash are urging lawmakers to rewrite the bill to reflect the modern gig economy. Now, some critics argue that the tax break misses lower income earners who don't get tipped at all, though Trump has floated tax-free overtime as a complementary benefit. So what's next? Will Congress amend the bill to include 1099 workers? And how will gig companies navigate the legal classification of their workforce? Obviously, the gig economy is now massive, and if tax-free tips are on the table, Uber and DoorDash definitely want to have a seat at that table. Now, for just the second time in history, all four number one seeds in the men's NCAA tournament, Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Houston, are headed to the Final Four. And it's the first time since 2008 that all four number one seeds made it to the Final Four. Now, ratings are at all-time high, and so the business of college basketball is still there. But even with no underdogs in sight, this year's March Madness is delivering high-stakes drama, with the fans are still watching. And the NCAA is expected to reap millions and millions of dollars based on this. Now, Elon Musk just made another move, transferring ownership of X, which is formerly Twitter, to his AI company, xAI, in a $33 billion all-stock deal. His goal is to blend social media with advanced AI. Now, he sold X to xAI, which is an AI company that he launched in 2023 for that $33 billion in stock. And he says the deal values xAI at $80 billion with X at $33 billion. The goal is to fuse xAI's AI capability with X's massive user base to deliver smarter, more meaningful experiences. And xAI has already been using X's data to train its AI models, including the chatbot Grok, which is embedded into the X platform. Now, Musk's latest move signals his ambition to turn X into more than just a social network, potentially even transforming it into an AI-powered knowledge and content engine. And with full control of both the data and the distribution channel, Musk is positioning the merge entity to compete with OpenAI, Google, and Meta in the race for AI dominance. So this should be very interesting to see how that platform transforms and what their plans are for the future. Listen, thanks for tuning into The Business Show. If you know someone who would find value in this episode, share it with a family member or a friend. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps us reach more people with this message. And don't forget to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.